Okay, let me just make sure we live. Okay, we back in business, man. What's good, future millionaires? We back with another banger. I'm December DeMarco, Fortune 500 marketer, here to share my insights of the market with y'all, to hopefully help y'all become better informed investors. Salute to y'all for pulling up on the channel. Make sure you hit that thumbs up like button for the YouTube algorithm, and do not forget to subscribe. So we back with the crypto market news, just going over everything happening in the market right now. Shout out to y'all for pulling up. Shout out to my notification squad, and salute to everybody that's been rocking with me on these last videos, man. We are almost at that 28,000 subscriber mark. So make sure if you haven't yet, you hit that subscribe button. Now, we're in an interesting time right now in the crypto space, with things that are going on. We got a lot of FUD happening with China right now. And I'm sure y'all probably seen one of these videos. If you haven't right now, one of the titles are like, China's economy is crashing. Let's see. Matter of fact, I'm going to find one of them for y'all.
Most people don't start.
We literally got almost every major financial YouTuber that covers this type of information talking about it, from Andre J, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. We got Graham Stephan talking about it. We got I believe Clear Value Tax, I think that's Brian over there. Also, I believe me, Kevin, might have done a video, and I'm not sure if Clear Value Tax did. I'm checking now. But basically everyone worry about China's economy possibly collapsing, and it is a fair warning, or something to really be worried about, because if that does happen, we can definitely see an effect over here in the US economy, and that would definitely not be a good thing for us in crypto and stocks and things of speculative investment nature, basically. So right now, let me find one of these videos. China economy collapse. Shout out to everybody for rocking with me. Make sure you hit that like button. Let's see. Okay, so we got a video from Graham Stephan here. I'm gonna let it play in the background and just give y'all my opinion on it, and how it can affect what we're doing over here.
If you slow China down, the world slows down.
What's up, guys? It's Graham here. So throughout the last few weeks, you're getting any traction. So if you wouldn't mind
Hold on. We're gonna do a proper reaction.
the last few weeks, you've probably come across some content referencing the downfall of China's entire economy, how it's positioned to collapse in the next 30 days, and why their debt crisis is spiraling out of control. In fact, I made a video covering several of those points just a week ago, which detailed just how badly their markets are being affected. But since then, China managed to do the unthinkable by lowering interest rates and injecting even more money into the economy as a last-ditch effort to stay afloat a little bit longer.
So we know that is never, a good, method to take, basically, by, when things are bad, to just basically continue to not care if they get even worse by, basically pumping more money into the system, because what does that do? That's basically putting a Band-Aid on something that really needs to be fixed. So, we can definitely expect some type of domino effect to trigger into the U.S. markets from this. This is something that we can't ignore. This is a global, problem. Even though it's in China, China's economy is the second largest after the United States. So, if they see their, what are they at around? I think we're around 20 trillion. And They were probably like a little bit more than half that, maybe 14, 15 or something like that. But, that's a lot of money, to see their system become unstable. That will cause a lot of fear. We're already seeing Chinese investors remove their companies from the Chinese stock market. Also, some of them are doing the same thing with the U.S. stock market, and a lot of others are at risk of being delisted as well, which is something that we want to keep an eye out for.
In history, but their economic slowdown has already begun to impact the rest of the world. And there's some serious implications for all of us that you should be made aware of, because it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, but instead when, and that is something that needs to be addressed. Although before we start, I've heard reports of dislike bots attacking videos like this to suppress the information and prevent it from gaining any traction. So if you wouldn't mind doing me a quick favor, hitting the like button or subscribing for the YouTube algorithm, it would
Don't
help
forget,
out
hit the like
tremendously.
button
So
for the
thank you
YouTube
guys so much.
algorithm,
And now with
man.
that said, let's begin. Alright, now up until recently, China was on an unstoppable trajectory set to overtake anyone or anything that stood in its way. That's because for the last 30 years, China's been at the forefront of production, international investment, and rapid productivity, all because of an exchange that occurred back in 1979, which gave China diplomatic relations with the United States, and by extension, the rest of the world. All of a sudden, China shared a common objective with the global economy, and with that door having been opened, money poured in. Countries from around the world invested in Chinese infrastructure, took advantage of low-cost labor, and helped bring much-needed funding to areas which were previously closed off. Even though this did bring down the cost for almost every item that we use day to day, the benefits for China were monumental. With all the increased trade and worldwide investment, 400 million people were lifted from poverty. In addition to that, their economy is now 11 times larger today than it was in 2001, and we're even touted as the world's economic miracle.
Now let's think about that. How many people, they said 400 million people raised out of poverty in the last, since 2001. So what is it, about 21 years, China's economy has tenfolded. And when we see that type of progression, there's usually some type of ramifications that come behind it, which we're seeing. We've heard that basically they were borrowing out a lot of money to builders, people that basically take pre-sale money on building homes, and what they would do is get started on these projects and basically use the capital that they were getting from the pre-sale on the promised properties that they were going to be building, and take that money to leverage it and get even more loans, and then eventually creating a cycle of never really finishing these projects and borrowing a lot of money, which is why we're seeing what's taking place right now in China take place. And honestly, this is a very big recipe for a disaster. If you think about the 2008 housing crisis, this is a lot bigger than what we've seen take place during that time. Now, if you're around my age, we were younger, so we weren't really in the markets like that. But this is definitely something now that our generation is going to be feeling.
Miracle, well, they grew at a faster pace than every other nation. However, not everything was exactly as appeared on the surface, because the more China grew, the more powerful they became in relation to every other nation. The more leverage they had to maintain tight control over their businesses, the more regulation they could set as they deemed necessary, and the more difficult they were to join forces with. In fact, members of the World Trade Organization alleged that China's been providing illegal state subsidies to businesses who export their products, discriminating against companies who don't buy from Chinese manufacturers, and controlling supply chains through taxing raw materials.
And if this is taking place, then this is, obviously a recipe for a disaster. If you start off with something like that and you're doing it janky, eventually all those pieces are going to fall apart, and we heard 2020, we heard about China's economy supposed to be collapsing. 2021, we heard about it. But, this time could really be, that time. I did hear them doing bailouts of about like $44 billion. But I honestly don't think that will be enough to save, the Chinese housing market. So we're going to have to see how this plays out.
They've been devaluing their own currency by as much as 40% as an incentive for other countries to be able to buy their own goods at a discount, leading, of course, to economic growth that was largely unsustainable and was going to collapse at any year. Like, the saying, the higher you climb, the harder you fall? Well, nothing describes that better than the current state of China's economy, which is quickly becoming a victim of its own success, with a ripple effect that's starting to be...
And, of course, everybody's not going to lose in China, but the top people, the top executive politicians, business owners, the top people who position themselves are going to, of course, walk away from this even richer. The people that are going to suffer from this are, the low earning people, lower, poor people, and people more in that range. So, what will that, how will that affect retail investment? You got to remember, China is a very big participant in the crypto market. So if we start seeing their, regular retail investors or everyday citizens that, invest, work, if they're starting to feel this, they will have less money to invest into the crypto markets. So we can technically, see, a period of consolidation, if we don't get a lot of new money that comes into the markets. Now, granted, we do have institutional investors stepping in now, being able to do like spot trading and things like that with the BlackRock partnership. But at the same time, that, with growth, we need to keep our current investors and add new investors, not lose a ton of investors and then replace those investors with other investors, because then we might just stay around the same spot. So that's something that we got to take into account as well. So I'm kind of looking at both scenarios and trying to, balance it out and see, kind of where we can, end up falling. But we have to take that into account. Now, my expectation was that we seen the bottom of the market. Previously, I expected the crypto market to go down further, but after all the recession information or data came in, and seeing how hard the government, White House, Federal Reserve is trying to, technically claim that we're not in a recession, even though we have seen 2 quarters of negative GDP, that made me feel like they called the bottom. Once we start to see bailouts happening, money being pumped into the system, that's the bottom. Take a look at 2020 when COVID happened. People seen Bitcoin go down around $3,800, and a lot of people were frightened. But a clear indication that things were about to turn around would have been taking note that all the money was being pumped into the economy at the same time, or all those bills were being passed, all the stimulus bills, unemployment bills, just everything that was giving people money. A ton of loans were going out, so people had extra money to invest. If we're not seeing this happen, and we're seeing a global scare happen, like with the Chinese economy falling, that can definitely ripple over here. But I'm looking for, my signal is to see, them start talking about bailouts, to start seeing, maybe checks go out, incentives start being provided to certain people that take certain actions in this marketplace. That's usually what we see before the actual turnaround starts to happen. Of course, the bottom, it can pull back always for a little bit, to kind of drain some of that money, to shake people out. That's one of the main goals. You got to always remember, the market makers are attempting to shake investors out, buy these assets at the lowest price, and then take that ride up when the price goes up. These prices always go back up. This is not financial advice, but we've always seen the investment markets recover from whatever low they hit. So obviously, this is the way that the rich are getting richer. They cause a lot of FUD. They let a lot of bad things happen in the market. There's some people who are happy about this opportunity, because now they got a lot of cash sitting to the side, and they're ready to deploy it, but they want to deploy it at the best price possible. So it's in their best interest to put out negative headlines in the news and things of that sort. Also, the people that are shorting the market, you got to remember, it's people making money on the opposite side when things go down. So, it's their time to shine right now. But I was expecting things to be at the bottom to turn around. But if we see this play out with China, and it gets sloppy, if it spills out into the rest of the world, then of course we can expect to see the price fall down further. Now, the lowest I called Bitcoin to a few months ago was around 13,000, and I have to check again if we could see a 10,000 on there, but I remember 13, maybe 13.5, and we didn't see that. We seen it pull back to about 17.5, which I thought it was heading towards that direction, but we seen buyers step in, show that they are that they believe the assets are worth more than what they were being listed at. So that's when the money comes in. But if we see something big like this shake us, then expect those prices to fall back further. I'm bullish. I want the market to turn around. I want this to be the bottom, but this is something big enough that can affect everything.
Felt throughout the entire world. Like first we have the impact of a zero COVID policy. This quite literally means that there's no tolerance for the spread of COVID to the point where China will enforce strict lockdowns, maintain tight regulation, and do anything in their power to prevent the population from becoming infected. But it has begun to already take its toll. Chinese stocks have experienced the worst quarter in years. Their economy has begun to lose ground as global recession fears increase. Supply chains have continued to be severely impacted by a backlog of shipping, and their growth is expected to be non-existent. Not to mention, these policies are so strict that all citizens must use a health code app that dictates who can move around the capital and where. If your health code turns red, you're sent to isolation along with anyone you've come into contact with who could also be deemed as high risk.
That is absolutely crazy. Imagine you just walking around your city, my bad. But imagine you walking around your city and your phone tells you that you came into contact with someone who's exposed and now you got to go into quarantine. That would be absolutely crazy if we were dealing with that. So, China's not messing around, man. They are about to shake things up. When we're seeing everything, all this negative news like this taking place, we have to, get ready for something. We got to connect the dots and know that something big is about to take place. Until we see something game-changing happen, until we see some big news saying, China's going to do this or China's preparing, taking action to do this, things are not looking good coming from China. So keep that in mind. Salute to y'all for pulling up. We got a few people in the building. Drop a comment. Let me know you pulled up on the shout out to y'all, man. Let's get back to this.
Their growth is expected to be non-existent. It's who can move around the capital and where. If your health code turns red, you're sent to isolation along with anyone you've come into contact with who could also be deemed as high risk. These implications have made their daily life a constant challenge, compounding even further on the real estate market. Just as China's economy had been rapidly expanding, nothing saw an increase as large as the housing market, where prices rose by nearly 700% from 2001 to 2017. In fact, the Chinese government recognized that this was becoming a major issue, so they imposed regulations on who was able to get. His government recognized that this was becoming.
Let's take a look at this chart. Look at this chart here. So they're showing that from about 1999 to 2017, and you can take a look at from 2001 till 2017, a 698% increase in the real estate price in Shanghai. That is an absolute bubble. Now we could say, have prices naturally grown that far? They could have, but we have to expect some type of correction. Look at this, just as you would any other line chart, that you would graph, looking at for TA. We could tell that there has to be a pullback in this. To me, it looks like right now it's sitting around that 425, 50-ish range. Just knowing, technical analysis, the price should be pulling back somewhere around this 300, maybe not that far, maybe 325 to 350-ish range. Because remember, all this has to get, basically corrected. The farther something goes up, the longer the fall is down, though. So keep that in mind as well.
2001 to 2017. In fact, the Chinese government recognized that this was becoming a major issue, so they imposed regulations on who was able to get a loan. But it was too little too late. Large developers took advantage of all the real estate enthusiasm by selling pre-built units that didn't even exist, with the assumption that they would be worth a lot more in the future by the time they were eventually complete.
So basically, these developers were receiving these funds, speculating like, okay, we're going to build this, whatever, condominium, apartment, building, whatever it is. And in the future, it will be netting this type of profit. And people were basically forking over money with these expectations of profit in the future that these developers never, made happen. So that's a terrible, recipe for disaster. I can't even believe China would allow that to, take place. And if you hear some of the, percentages that they were getting, and the percentage of houses that they were actually building, it was like obviously that they weren't going to finish these projects.
Citizens bought into completely vacant cities as a way to store wealth, and excessive demand meant that
citizens bought into completely vacant cities. That is absolutely bonkers. It says China has at least 65 million empty homes, enough to house the population of France. It offers a glimpse into the country's massive housing market problem. I don't care what anybody says. That's an absolute problem. Imagine having enough empty houses in your country to house an entire, another country. That is ridiculous right there.
Bought into completely vacant cities as a way to store wealth, and excessive demand meant that there was very little oversight to ensure that all of these properties were actually being built. Now, in a market that's constantly going up, this would...
So they're not even paying attention to make sure that the money these developers are receiving, that they're actually going out and developing these properties. That is terrible.
Be an immediate issue because developers can always raise more capital by selling even more pre-built units. But with sales having completely collapsed in their worst property downturn on record, those previous projects are now being completely abandoned, leaving buyers to fend for themselves and forcing them to make payments on a property that isn't even being built. And finally,
so what we can expect is a lot of people to foreclose on these, or default on these loans, foreclose on some of these developments, and a lot of the property become available for much cheaper at a discounted rate or wholesale rate. So we're going to see the people in China that are already wealthy get a lot more wealthy. They're waiting for this, opportunity, basically for the government to say, okay, we're going to write all this off. We're going to take all this as a loss. Who wants to buy up these properties? We're doing them for, 60% off. That's when we're going to start to see, everything turn around once these investors start to realize that, okay, the value is there now for these vacant properties at a rate that we can't basically refuse to, purchase at.
The third nail in the coffin, the debt bubble. The Wall Street Journal reports that from 2014 to 18, China's debt has inflated by 20% annually. Housing prices are nearly twice the levels that led to the great financial crisis of 2008, and China continues to loosen lending requirements to ensure that growth is maintained at all costs. Housing price 2014 to 18, China's debt has inflated by 20% annually.
So here's a chart.
From 2014 to 18, China's debt has inflated.
So here's a chart showing basically their debt inflating from, we got which period right here, from, they're showing the 2007 U.S. bank credit to China's, and now they're showing where it's at, where it grew to in 2015. So take a look at this from 2007, 2008. It went from around 100 at that 100 level to almost what is that, like 475, almost that 500 level right there in billions, it looks like. So definitely not healthy for an economy.
By 20% annually. Housing prices are nearly twice the levels that led to the great financial crisis of 2008, and China continues to...
So not only are they, building and taking a lot of money for properties that they aren't completing, they're taxing on these properties. So they're not even cheap. So they're expensive. So we're seeing people take on, they said, twice the levels that caused the 2008 recession. So people are paying twice as much as they should over there for real estate. And I think it just showed that it says China property sales are set to plunge 30% worse than in 2008, S&P says. And in 2008, it was right here. It says such a drop would be worse than in 2008 when sales fell by roughly 20%. So imagine that, from, we got the worst housing crisis that we've seen in the U.S. in recent history with a 20% drop. China's expecting a 30%. Connect the dots, man. Be prepared. I'm not saying, hopefully they figure something out and correct this. Hopefully, the U.S. is strategizing as well and positioning ourselves so that way we don't get hit as hard. But we can't ignore this, though. As bad as I want to be bullish, as bad as I want to say things are about to turn completely around, do I still think, the market overall is going to grow? Yes, I do, over time. For long-term investors, I believe we are going to win. But in the meantime, we have, we got some fish to fry, man, for real.
These are nearly twice the levels that led to the great financial crisis of 2008, and China continues to loosen lending requirements to ensure that growth is maintained at all costs, even at the expense. So
they're even making borrowing, they're loosening loan requirements. So that means credit scores, debt to income ratio, income, just anything that they would use on a standard loan application, China is not requiring the same things that either the U.S. would require, or a country with a healthy economy should require. They're just looking to get these loans out. It's looking like just to put the citizens in debt. That's the recipe to take a lot of money off the table
of the global economy. But in terms of what we're dealing with today and how this could lead to potentially another ticking time bomb, here's what's happening right now. As I mentioned earlier, in response to slowing growth, a declining property market, and falling demand, China did the unthinkable by lowering interest rates to help stimulate more growth, while at the same time pumping $60 billion into the financial system as a way to incentivize lending. However,
so they lowered interest rates. That makes borrowing money cheaper. So when someone goes to the bank, it costs them less money to, let's say, borrow $1 million than it would if interest rates were higher. So if they gave you, let's say, 2% interest rate versus a 7 or 10% interest rate, you would be paying less money back on that $1 million. You would be paying what is that, like $2,000 back, versus someone with the 10% paying 100 or 100,000. So 20,000, it would be 20,000 on a 2% and 100,000 on a 10%. So they're incentivizing people. They're giving them the opportunity to get money for a cheaper price. But this is the thing: when most people are investing back into bad real estate loans, they're going to put themselves in a tough situation anyway, and eventually default on those loans because it's a bad investment off the top.
However, they reassure everyone that the government won't roll out massive stimulus measures or flood the financial system with too much new money, and would instead aim for stable prices and a relatively good economic performance. However, that doesn't exactly pair well with the reality that growth estimates have been revised down and the zero COVID policy has taken priority, leaving China with an economy that now has even more room to fall. Their president, who's expected to maintain a third term in power, recently came on record to say that he would rather temporarily affect a little economic development than to risk harming people's life, safety, and physical health, especially the elderly and
So he's basically taking the stance. It sounds like, I'm not saying his actual actions, but from what this quote says, it sounds like he wants to move in the direction how our Federal Reserve is moving. Basically, he says would rather temporarily affect a little economic development. Basically, he's okay with stunting growth for a little while versus harming or maybe not so much stunting growth, but just affecting basically whether doing what he has to do, whether it hurts the economy, he'll rather do that to take a bigger risk and harming people's life, safety, and physical health. Now, to me, it doesn't sound like that with what they're doing right now. It doesn't sound like that, because if you're allowing people to continuously borrow more money and invest it into riskier, well, not just saying riskier, but we know these investments, these real estate investments are poor investments. That's a bigger recipe for a disaster. Things might seem temporarily fixed or on paper fixed. If someone's looking at their portfolio and it says they own $3 million worth of real estate, that can give someone some confidence. But when everything boils down and things get shaky or things hit the fan, then they end up seeing that they got to pay a lot higher rates than they expected, or they end up losing some of this property, or the value of the property decreases. Now that puts them in a tough position, and now they're hurt anyway. Their safety net and physical health can be affected by feeling bad about losing money. So
children, while others worry that this is simply a scapegoat to avoid the much deeper issues of economic instability, namely the fear of spending money. See, any growing economy wants people to feel comfortable enough about their finances to buy more products, spend more money, borrow against their assets, and be able to reinvest into growing infrastructure. But with China's weakening outlook, more and more people are holding back, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy that prices are falling because people are not spending enough money because prices are falling, and that just repeats itself. It's also noted that Beijing's crackdown on real estate developers' reliance on debt also affects households' perceptions of wealth, as the majority is tied up in property. And this is especially
Exactly. That's just what I was saying right there. So people can look at their wealth differently once they see, like, okay, it's actually tied up into bad investments.
true when 96% of the Chinese population is exposed to a real estate market that's declined for 11 months straight. As a result, April's retail sales fell 11% year over year, and in an effort to increase spending and boost the economy, the Chinese government issued what's called consumption vouchers. These are government-issued coupons that give discounts for shopping at various businesses, and the goal is that by offering an incentive to spend more money, people will in fact spend more money. So in terms of making the numbers seem better than they are,
so that's some term of bailout right there. You know, with them giving out those vouchers, they're trying to encourage spending, you know, push people to, you know, spend more of their income, but that's, you know, a false perception, you know, to make things seem like they're doing better. Now, it could in turn, you know, generate some more, funds for their economy, but at the same time, you know, what happens when those vouchers, you know, disappear? They're back in the same position, or even worse than they started.
It's working. Proponents have noted that consumption vouchers have boosted spending by 3 to 10 times their face value, while others argue that it only helps the people who have the extra income to spend, without addressing the root cause of the issue and that China's economy is rapidly deteriorating. Now, in an ordinary market, such a rate cut and injection of money into the economy would be seen as a bullish signal for almost anything. But in this case, it's seen as a negative sign in a failing attempt to keep the economy running just a little bit longer. As Goldman Sachs pointed out, mortgage boycotts have made people a lot more reluctant to buy a home, leading, of course, to 28.8% fewer sales. That, in turn, reflects a loss of confidence in the housing market, which, in turn, reflects a loss of confidence in the entire economy. And that is something that cannot be solved with lower interest rates. On top of that, oil prices have also started to fall, with the expectation that China's economy has officially started to decline. After all, China consumes 15% of the world's oil and imports more crude than any other country. So when they're slowing down, the rest of the world could follow. So of course, what does that mean for all of you watching, and how could that affect all of us in the US? Well, besides lower oil demand resulting in cheaper prices of the gas pump, there are a few key points to watch out for. The first is through the delisting of Chinese stocks in the US stock exchange. In just the last few days, 5 state-owned companies were removed from the US stock market.
5 state-owned Chinese companies delisted from New York Stock Exchange. We see, I'm not sure if these were the exact ones, but I see Tencent, Alibaba, and LK. So those are some pretty big companies right there, man. You got to connect the dots on that and realize that this is a very big problem. This is just because it's over there in China does not mean we will not feel it. This is something you definitely want to pay attention to.
It's citing high admit.
You know, like, so if you're invested into Chinese stocks, you know, you can be willing to bet that their prices are down right now. Or, you know, looking at shorting Chinese stocks, that some people might take that position, you know, knowing that the prices will fall. You know, that's why it's good to have this information so you can position yourself and also, you know, have opportunities to be able to make money, because you can also make money when the markets are falling. You don't only have to make money by buying an asset and hoping it goes up. You can short, you can do put options as well.
Administrative burden and costs is the reason for their decision. However, the timing comes just months after the SEC flagged those companies for failing to meet United States auditing standards, leading to the assumption that maybe more businesses are about to follow. So here in the US, it's required that all companies follow strict disclosure requirements if they're going to be publicly traded. And that includes a fully verified third-party audit on a regular basis to ensure accuracy and transparency. This prevents disastrous scenarios like Luckin Coffee, which was accused of falsifying financials, raising money in the US, and then collapsing once those numbers proved to be unsustainable. And as of now, 261 Chinese stocks could be on the chopping block should they choose.
So that would be the 261 Chinese stocks listed on the U.S. hinges on one key point, and they total up to be around $1.3 trillion, y'all. That is absolutely bonkers. So think about that. You know, if the stock market, you know, takes a 1.3 trillion hit, which isn't the end of the world, but that's a very big hit, you know, to the stock market. So this is how, you know, the China real estate market can, you know, affect, you know, their overall confidence in their economy, which will play into the businesses, companies not trying to disclose information properly. You know, a lot of companies knowing that they're on the verge of possibly going bankrupt, and, you know, as a last ditch effort, trying to, you know, finesse their way through. And, you know, that's why we're seeing, because think about it, what other reason would they not want to get an audit? They don't want to do the audit because there must be something to hide, you know. So that could mean, you know, a lot worse financial health than a lot of people are expecting. And if that comes to light, then obviously, you know, all these companies will take a hit.
Not to comply, which is a reality that we should be prepared for. After all, China responded by saying that they're reluctant to let overseas regulators inspect local accounting firms due to national security concerns. And with the clock beginning to tick down, either China needs to comply or over $1 trillion could be delisted from our US-based markets. The second, be aware that it could take a long time to unfold. Since China publishes their own numbers and maintains an extremely tight grip on their economy, there's no guarantee that they can't just keep kicking the can further and further into the future. And they have the ability to inject as much money as needed to resolve the situation, at least temporarily. And finally, in a weird way, China's slowing growth and global recession could help ease demand and upward price growth, meaning with less resources being consumed, inflation could begin to subside or even decline. Now, a lot of these are very broad assumptions without a definitive timeline for when they could unfold, but it is a very worrying sign that we're not going to know the full effects of what's to come until most likely it's too late. So with that,
so basically, you want to be prepared. You don't want to sit there, you know, as if you don't know this is happening. You know, you want to position yourself. You know, think about it. Which stocks are you invested in? Are they any Chinese companies? You may want to reposition. It's not financial advice. Do what's best for you. But, you know, just keep that in mind. So let's type in Google and see what we get when we type in China economy. See what the latest articles are saying. So, China's heat wave could have a knock-on effect on its economy, says economists. China just ran into something that could be even more devastating for its supply chain. China set to lower lending benchmarks to revive wobbly economy. More Chinese investing in Singapore homes, politically stable environment. Another economic problem for China. In one in five young people can't find a job. Growing pains. China's faltering economy tests leadership's nerve. So let's see. Let's find one of these articles. So I think I want to find the one that was saying, you know, they have more things to worry about. Okay, so this article here. So let's see. China just ran into something that could be even more devastating for its supply chain than COVID-19 lockdowns. A record heat wave. So that's crazy. They're over really having a real life heat wave. It says COVID-19 lockdowns in China threw a wrench into a global supply chains earlier this year, causing shipping and production delays worldwide and hindering economic growth. Now the country is facing another major threat, and this one could be even worse for the economy. China has been coping with its worst heat wave in 60 years this month, with temperatures in several provinces routinely reaching up to 104 degrees. We get that here in Vegas almost every single day, so it ain't that bad. But maybe they're just not that used to it. It is hot. I'm from Wisconsin, so you know it's a big difference being in Nevada, but it's not, you know, as long as you stay inside, you got some air conditioning, you should be fine. But they might not have that, I don't know. So, but one key province is experiencing the worst financial repercussions from the suffocating heat. In Sichuan, a regional manufacturing powerhouse that is home to more than 80 million people, the record heat wave was exacerbated on an ongoing drought, cutting water levels in hydropower reserves in half this month. According to the Sichuan Provincial Department of Economics and Information Technology, Sichuan relies on hydropower for roughly 80% of its energy needs, and with consumers using more energy than usual to stay cool during the heat wave, energy supplies are running short. Okay, so I see there definitely can be some evaporation going on, and there are natural bodies of waters and things like that. So as a result, officials announced on August 15th, the factories in 19 cities and prefectures would be forced to close their doors for 5 days to reserve electricity for use by the people. Sheesh, it's getting that bad. So, but an expert told Fortune that the ongoing heat wave is more than just a regional problem and could have dramatic repercussions worldwide because of the specific challenges that heat possess. Manufacturing work arounds that became common during the height of COVID will no longer be possible, potentially leading to even more severe economic outcomes. These shutdowns have the potential to be equally, if not more, impactful on supply chains than the recent COVID lockdown, said Mirko Wojcicki, Global Director of Intelligence Solutions for Everstream Analytics, a supply chain insights and risk analytics company. So from Sichuan to the rest of China, some factories in China were able to remain open during pandemic lockdowns through the use of closed-loop systems where workers would isolate themselves at factories in order to continue operations. But these types of mitigating efforts aren't possible in a heat wave. Everyone's depending on the same hydropower, so the entire region is really affected by it. And there's no whitelist at the moment of exemption, so it's really the indiscriminate nature compared to the targeted COVID lockdowns that make this much more harmful. Wojcicki said. For now, factory shutdowns caused by the heat wave in China are confined to Sichuan, but because of the region's status, a manufacturing powerhouse, the effect will likely be widespread. Electronic component manufacturers like Foxconn and Compal, which are both suppliers for Apple, and auto manufacturers like Tesla, Toyota, and SAIC Motor Corp, may be affected the most by the deadly heat. Tesla and SAIC said on Thursday that they are having difficulty maintaining production amid the power crunch and asked Chinese officials if their production could be prioritized. Toyota has also suspended production at its plant in Sichuan this week, according to Japanese media outlet Kyodo News. Additionally, BOE Technology Group, an Apple supplier that makes LED screens and other hardware components, said on Wednesday that it will need to make adjustments as its operations in Sichuan, owing to power rationing in the region, and contemporary Amperex Technology, the world's largest battery maker, said it will stop production at its Sichuan plant until August 20th as a result of the power cuts. The Sichuan region has become very important in the last 10 years in terms of raw material production. Foxconn has their battery production there, and the list goes on, so it's still very, very impactful in supply chain sense. Lithium and semiconductors could also be affected, though it likely won't be to the same extent as electronic component manufacturers. Sichuan is a key supplier of lithium, and some experts are concerned that China's heat wave could cause prices of the silvery white metal to soar. Supplies of lithium have already been strained amid rising demand for EVs and production issues. And Wojcicki notes that one of China's top lithium producers, Sichuan Yahua Industrial Group, has shut down operations for 5 days, and that the prices for lithium are expected to rise in the near term as a result. Still, Wojcicki said that he isn't too worried about the supply of lithium, at least for now. We believe, so you can also take a look or listen into some of these things that that they're saying are going to be short or possibly see supply chain issues, and you can start to bet already that those prices will start to fall if we see this happen. So we believe the impact will be more felt in terms of the intermediate and ends product. He said for lithium, the heat wave would have to last much longer for it to create a significant impact. Another key industry that could be affected by the heat wave is semiconductor, also known as chips, which are used in everything from smartphones to fighter jets. Over the past 2 years, there has been a global shortage on semiconductors, and the situation in China is set to make things even worse. That Wojcicki said that Sichuan semiconductor manufacturers are already being affected by shutdowns, adding that they are likely going to cause more ripple effects through semiconductor supply chains. So we can expect to see, some of the EV tech stocks, possibly take a hit because all of them are depending on, these chips. So, but he also noted that Sichuan isn't home to many semiconductor producers, so the impact on the ongoing chip shortage will likely be limited compared with the post or past pandemic related disruptions. In terms of semiconductor issues, they'll probably be more confined, but then there's a lot of other electric component producers, especially Taiwanese ones, that have settled down in Sichuan, he says. So it's really more the electronic components other than semiconductors that are key in Sichuan. The repercussions of longer factory shutdowns. Right now, factories in Sichuan are expected to be shuttered for only a little while, but if the heat persists, they could stay closed for a much longer period, making the situation for Chinese manufacturers even more dire. He says if it's confined to the 5 to 7 days, it will still be manageable. But Chinese officials have already extended some factory shutdowns in Chongqing a self-administered municipality located within Sichuan province to August 24th. Factories can sort out inventory and shutdowns won't have that much of an impact, he said, of the heat wave. But if it's going to 10 days, 2 weeks, or anything more than that, then we're really talking about serious supply disruption. So, right now where they are, it's manageable. But if we see it push out, which is only an extra week, that can be catastrophic for some of these industries. So very interesting, man. You got to stay on top of all these different things that can affect, macroeconomic conditions. Shout out to y'all rocking with me in the stream, man. Got to give y'all some news y'all can use, help everybody become better informed investors. So let's take a look now at some of this Ethereum merger news. Let me know, do y'all want to talk about the Ethereum merger on this stream, or y'all want to save it for a specific dedicated video? Let me know real quick. Trucking and Trapping said, where do you get your news early? Just researching. I got a few keywords, key terms that relate to, crypto, stocks, economy, Federal Reserve, Ethereum, Shiba Inu, whatever you're always looking at, you want to have those, a list of those words. And if you don't remember them, and search them every single day, sometimes twice a day, to see if there's anything new that comes about from it, because you don't want to just wait all the time until, people like myself or other news sources put this information out. You want to go find it yourself. But let me know. Do y'all want to talk about the Ethereum merge on this stream, or do y'all want to save it for a specific video? PGB said, if you had to choose Shiba or Volt investment, why would you choose either? Why not both? Why do you have to choose one? If you only have a limited amount of capital that you can invest, then you could divide that up by whichever one you're more confident in. You can put more into the one that you have more faith in, and then, put a little something into the other one, if that's what you want to do, not financial advice. Okay, so we're going to go on to this one now. Now, I'm expecting Ethereum to really, start shaking things up with this merger taking place right now. Let's look at the price of ETH. We got ETH at 1587, down 2.2% right now on the day. Different things are going to happen. So right now, Ethereum is switching over from a proof of work to a proof of stake. So basically from, you always used to hear about all these different Ethereum miners, or people mining Bitcoin, mining Ethereum, using up all this electricity, buying miners. You hear about the secondary miner market being, prices being skyrocketed through the roof because people making so much money through mining. That entire lane is about to go away. Not through all of cryptocurrency, but on the Ethereum side, which is one of the biggest. There's a lot of Bitcoin miners, but there are also a ton of Ethereum miners as well. So let's get into this article, which covers a little bit about this. Ethereum overhaul risks creating a new class of crypto kingpins. So this is not that article I was just talking about. This is a second one that I wanted to go into as well. So let's chop this one up real quick. Ethereum overhaul risks creating a new class of crypto kingpins. A handful of builders may hold lots of powers after upgrades. Builders may make money via market making other services. So the much anticipated upgrade of Ethereum will create new participants called builders in the blockchain ecosystem, a move that risks altering the power structure of what is arguably the most commercially important cryptocurrency network. Under the current system, networks of computers known as miners pluck transactions out of special data pool and arrange them into blocks that are added to the blockchain. The miners are being eliminated as part of a plan to reduce energy consumption. After the planned September upgrade, known as the merge, the builders will gather transactions into blocks, which they will then send to the validators. The validators will sign off on the order of the blocks that will form the upgraded blockchain. This seemingly geeky change, part of a portion of the software upgrade that is called the MEV boost, could potentially make Ethereum more centralized, at least initially. While there are already more than 416,000 validators lined up to order transactions, there are only a handful of participants committed to serving as builders. The largest is Flashbots, which makes open source software used by trading bots. Flashbots is already the dominant way for miners to collect fees from traders by letting their transactions front run and otherwise step around others. Other participants are considering becoming builders because of the concerns about Flashbots or other similar entities having too much control. It kills decentralization, said Yuri Klarman, chief executive officer of Bloxroute Labs, which has a network of servers and lets traders send transactions to miners faster. About 40% of all the trading volume from decentralized finance app, which let people trade, loan, and borrow coins, is routed through the network, he said. Sheesh, that's a lot. One risk is that the powerful digital wallet like MetaMask, which gives users the ability to buy and sell and receive cryptocurrency, could become a king maker. Klarman said MetaMask is the most popular non-custodial wallet with 30 million users. A wallet service could favor one builder over all others and even decide to act as a builder, thus controlling the flow of transactions, Klarman said. MetaMask is owned by the New York-based ConsenSys, which was founded by Ethereum co-founder Joseph Lubin. The software firm dismisses the concern. He says, quote, "We will never send all of MetaMask transactions to one specific builder or provider," says Taylor Monahan, global product lead at MetaMask. MetaMask value is derived from being a gateway to an exciting, vibrant, diverse, and fair ecosystem. For that reason, MetaMask will always strive to make decisions that promote a healthy and decentralized Ethereum. The builder-validator role split was initially conceived as a way to increase Ethereum's decentralization and to take the power away from validators. Still, having too few builders on an upgraded Ethereum chain raises potential issues. They could censor transactions from being included into blocks. Earlier this month, Flashbot blacklisted wallets associated with Tornado Cash after the Mixer protocol was sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury Department. We got to talk about this for a second. This is something I'm worried about. Now, not worried about it in the sense of like, where it's going to like take my money or like, it's just making me lose sleep at night. But, this can be a threat to, the decentralization of crypto. If we get, non-custodial wallet as large as MetaMask, basically front running all their transactions of who they want to, receive these fees first. That creates, like this article says, a new lane for different kingpins, some new crypto kingpins that basically can make billions and billions of dollars just by having these connections. So this is something we definitely want to pay attention to, keep a close eye on, and see how this will affect the market. Now, of course, MetaMask says they're not going to do this, but we never know. We never know. So we just, we have to just be aware and be prepared. Salute to everybody pulling up. We got Pyro in the building. Salute. I see Pyro pulled up on us in the stream. We still diamond hand in Pyro. But let's keep this going. So for y'all that don't know, Tornado Cash was basically like a mixer. So Tornado Cash allowed people to basically hide their wallets. So you could basically go on this site, select a certain amount of money. You can add, they did it based on like 1 ETH, 5 ETH, 10 ETH, 100 ETH, 1,000 ETH, I believe. You could say how many ETH you want to, basically put into the protocol or put into the, the platform, and you can anonymously, allow other people to claim that ETH without it being without them, being able to follow it back to your wallet or track it to your wallet, because everything on the blockchain is easily able to be, tracked. So, that's, it's decentralized, but it's not anonymous. It's anonymous in the sense of if you don't put your wallet name out there or public address out there and it's not connected to you, then people won't know it's you. But if people do, then they'll know and can see all the transactions that take place with that wallet. Now, the U.S. government, because they didn't like the fact that all these wallets are being able to, keep their anonymity. I don't even know that's how you say it, but they're basically able to remain anonymous. Of course, Uncle Sam doesn't like that. He wants his money. He wants to see what's going on. So they basically blacklisted this business, Tornado Cash, crypto company, and said anybody who's transacted with that Tornado Cash website or wallet or company, their wallets are being blacklisted. Now, there is something dangerous about this, because that they made this happen Anybody who previously used Tornado Cash to send, receive, or if their wallet interacted with the Tornado Cash wallet, their wallet was basically blacklisted from being able to transfer, buy, sell, withdraw using any of these major centralized exchange. Even a decentralized exchange like MetaMask is sanctioning these wallets as well, which is very worrisome to me. So it's like, if they can just pick, any rule they want and block any wallet from being able to trade, that is not decentralization at all. So basically, where this got dangerous is some, people in the space, I don't know if they're bad actors. I don't know if they just people who want to show why this is a bad idea, but a lot of people started to send famous wallets. So celebrities, top popular individuals that have their wallets public, they started sending these individuals crypto from the Tornado Cash site or wallet or platform, which essentially sanctioned their wallet. So imagine say you never interacted with Tornado Cash, but because you're a famous figure that you put out your public address out there, what these individuals would do now is send you crypto from Tornado Cash to make it seem as if, well, not to really make it seem as if you've been using it as well, but to automatically get your wallet flagged as well, that is a very big problem. So let's continue with this. If there are very few builders, they can also command higher fees. With validators earning less, that could in turn lead to fewer validators choosing to get involved in supporting the network. To date, miners have earned about $240 million on the transaction reorganization service called MEV, according to Flashbots. The fees are expected to be a significant contributor to validators' revenue as well. Builders can also capitalize on their users' order flow. If a builder knows that a lot of users are placing orders for a particular token, they could buy a long position in it, for example. It's like Robinhood making money off of order flow, said Nathan Worsley, referencing the commission-free trading firm. Worsley and his partners, who make money off of transaction reorganizing, liquidations, and various complex trades, are considering becoming a builder. Y'all, they're about to go crazy with this. We're definitely going to have to dig further into this to see, how this could affect us. But whenever they get the opportunity, whenever these big players get the opportunity to make money like this, trust me, they're going to do it. So even if they say they're not, now, this is not financial advice. I don't want to get sued. I'm not trying to cause FUD or anything. But, there's somebody that's going to take advantage of this, most likely. So Worsley isn't alone in considering a change in focus because of the potential centralization risk and power shift. He says, we'll monitor the situation. If it gets closer to a centralized builder world, we'll take action, said Jonas P at Block Damon, which runs validator nodes for his clients. So very, very interesting. Let me know what y'all feel about that. How do y'all feel about this merger taking place, Ethereum moving to a proof of proof of stake versus a proof of work? So here's another article. Ethereum merge will change crypto forever. Everything you need to know. So the Ethereum community is more giddy than usual. On weekly Zoom calls dedicated to technical matters, Ethereum developers have been celebrating, even singing, as they advance toward the merge, an event hailed as the most important technological upgrade in the history of crypto. But what exactly is the merge? Those who follow crypto news have likely heard about it and are aware it represents a shift to something called proof of stake. But there are a few detailed accounts of the technical process and the merge's implications for the larger crypto ecosystem. To that end, Fortune spoke to Ethereum core developers to craft a detailed overview of the merge, currently slated for mid-September, and the controversies that have surrounded it. Here's all you need to know. So what exactly do people mean by the merge? So ETH2, Ethereum 2.0, ETH 2.0, the project has been called by many things in the past, but earlier this year, the Ethereum community settled on the merge. Most simply, the merge is a long-planned Ethereum upgrade aimed at improving the network. Such upgrades are commonplace, but this is the most important one to date, and its success will pave the way for developers to introduce a host of new features to the network. So the merge will, merge the current Ethereum mainnet, or the main public Ethereum blockchain used by everyone, with something called the beacon chain. Currently, both chains exist in parallel, but only the Ethereum mainnet, which currently uses a mechanism called proof of work, is processing transactions. So once the merge is complete, the Ethereum mainnet will shift away from proof of work and instead adopt the beacon chain's proof of stake mechanism. So the merge is coming, they say. What's proof of stake? Proof of stake is a type of consensus mechanism that differs from traditional proof of work one. A consensus mechanism describes the way Ethereum or other blockchains determine the legitimacy of transactions posted to its network. It is how a blockchain governs itself. Ethereum can be seen as a distributed database of nodes or computers that run software to verify blocks and the transaction data within them. To reach consensus on the network and make a decision, the majority of nodes must be in agreement, and the choice of consensus mechanism determines how they do that. So how does proof of stake work? Once Ethereum shifts to a proof of stake consensus mechanism post-merge, the network will rely on trusted entities known as validators to verify transactions and add new blocks to the blockchain. A validator will be chosen at random each time a new block is to be added, which will occur every 12 seconds or so post-merge. Anyone can apply to be a validator by depositing 32 Ethereum, about 61,000 at mid-August prices, a sum intended to ensure that participants have a stake in the success of the network and run up-to-date software. So if you want to participate and become a validator, it only takes around 61,000 in ETH that you would need to have to basically apply. So as the Ethereum foundations, so basically you'll have to stake that. As the Ethereum Foundation explains, prospective validators will then be added to an activation queue that limits the rate of new validators joining the network. Once a validator is activated, it will be eligible to review and approve new blocks the Ethereum network proposes to add to its blockchain. In return for securing the network, validators will earn Ether as a reward. While the 32 Ether staked as collateral serves as a major incentive to behave appropriately, there are also punishments for validators that are incompetent or malicious. Namely, they can be penalized with the loss of some or all of their deposit. The merge hasn't happened yet, but the Beacon chain already has over 415,000 validators. And what's proof of work? Proof of work is another consensus mechanism that has been used by Ethereum's mainnet since its genesis. Other older blockchains, most notably Bitcoin, continue to employ it. The work in proof of work comes in the form of mining, where miners expand energy in the form of computing power. Though its supporters, mostly Bitcoiners, love proof of work, saying it's the most secure mechanism, the process is notably bad for the environment, which has been a key factor in prompting Ethereum's shift to proof of stake. So why is the merge such a big deal? For one, Ethereum is the most used blockchain and powers Ether, the second largest cryptocurrency with a $202 billion market cap. Ethereum also hosts numerous decentralized applications and decentralized finance protocols and establishes the authenticity of millions of non-fungible tokens. This means the outcome of the merge will affect not just the Ethereum blockchain, but a wide constellation of products and services that rely upon it. And given Ethereum's size and influence, the fate of the merge is likely to have a ripple effect on the broader crypto industry. Meanwhile, the switch to proof of stake will affect thousands of people who mine Ether, many of whom expended significant capital in the endeavor. Most will probably turn to mining other proof of work coins, but the merge is still likely to hurt their bottom line. But while the merge is bad news for miners, the vast majority of the Ethereum community and beyond see the end of mining as a good thing, helping both the planet and Ethereum's reputation. The switch from proof of work to proof of stake will reduce overall energy consumption of Ethereum by 99.9% or more, core developer Preston Van Loon told Fortune. That's no joke. Another important consequence of a successful merge will be a reduction in the issuance of new Ether. After the merge, Ether is likely to become the largest deflationary currency, according to Lucas, head of research at blockchain intelligence firm Into the Block. In his latest newsletter, Tomorrow predicts that because the cryptocurrency will no longer be awarded to miners, the amount of new Ether issued will drop by approximately 87%. ETH's net issuance is now projected to range between 1.5% to 0.5% based on the last 3 months of data, compared to 4.5% to that 0.5% using Q1 to Q2 numbers, he wrote on August 9th. The decline in issuance in terms meaning Ethereum could eclipse Bitcoin and market cap over the next 12 months, according to an August 12th report by research firm FSI Insight. So they're saying that this decline in issuance in turn means Ethereum could eclipse Bitcoin in market cap over the next 12 months. So they're saying in the next year they expect Bitcoin to fall below Ethereum. That is absolutely bonkers. So shout out to everybody rocking with me. Shout out to everybody in here. Salute Vote Army, Pyro Army, Sheep Army. I see y'all in the building. Shout out to all the channel members as well. Shout out to all the notification squad as well. All the ones really rocking with me, man. I definitely appreciate y'all. Finally, the merge is viewed as a critical step for Ethereum's overall development. According to Ethereum creator Vitalik, the network is now about 40% complete, and after the merge, Ethereum can go up to being 55% complete, he said. Also, on Ethereum's roadmap are 4 other phases happening in parallel that developers are calling the Surge, Verge, Purge, and Splurge, all of which aim to make Ethereum much faster, safer, and much more decentralized. At the end of this roadmap, Ethereum will be a much more scalable system. By the end, Ethereum will be able to process 100,000 transactions per second, Vitalik said. So why is the merge controversial? While most of Ethereum's community strongly supports the merge, a vocal minority is denouncing it as a colossal mistake. While some of this criticism is rooted in self-interest, namely miners' concerns about lost income, there are also ideological concerns. Namely, critics say proof of stake will make Ethereum more centralized and less secure, and point to dominance of a few entities holding stake Ether deposited on the Beacon chain. As data firm Messari has pointed out, Lido Finance controls a whopping 31.2% of all stake Ether on the Beacon chain, while Coinbase controls 14.7% and Kraken 8.5%. The large positions of Lido and others reflect the fact they are custodians for thousands of smaller Ether holders and don't actually own most of what they hold, but the centralization fears persist nonetheless. These concerns include fears that law enforcement may treat validators as a target for censorship or surveillance. Vitalik himself addressed this on Twitter. He signaled his support in burning the stake of any validators that censor the Ethereum protocol if asked by US regulators. I believe the Ethereum community is strong enough to fight off-base layer censorship, ETHUB co-founder Anthony Sassano tweeted on August 16th. ETHUB co-founder tweeted on August 16th, Bitcoin is prone to the same censorship risk as Ethereum is. It doesn't matter if it's POS or POW. Even Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong suggested on August 17th he'd rather stop the cryptocurrency's exchange staking business than comply with any potential censorship sanctions. So at least we got some CEOs in the space that understand, how important this is and, how big of a, effect this can have. Get a little view in here. Let's get a little view in the building. But another concern surrounds MEV, maximum extractable value, formerly minor extractable value, and potential MEV boost issues post-merge. MEV is the profit a miner or validator can make by picking, excluding, or reordering transactions within blocks. MEV Boost is an optional software built for proof-of-stake Ethereum. It allows validators to sell block space to so-called block builders and outsource block production to maximize this reward, effectively subcontracting some of their validating duties. Though there are upsides to MEV and MEV Boost, both can also be used by bad actors in a malicious way. Specifically, some within the Ethereum community are worried about censorship of MEV Boost, relay operators, or entities that connect validators to block builders, among other things. Questions surrounding MEV and MEV Boost post-merge have increasingly consumed the attention of countless users on crypto Twitter, to the point where it was even addressed during the most recent Ethereum core developers meeting. Though developers understand the concern, they're hopeful that MEV-related issues, especially evolving censorship, will not be prevalent threats and remain focused on building Ethereum as a censorship-free model. So finally, there are other fears over proof-of-stake, notably the risk of a 51% attack where bad actors conspire to take over more than half of the computing power on the network and tamper with the blockchain record to steal tokens. But with proof-of-stake, an attacker would need majority ownership of stake Ether to pull this off, and that would be incredibly expensive to obtain. So also, will the merge lower the gas fees everyone complains about? Short answer, no. Buterin himself doesn't see a 51% attack as fatal, and the Ethereum community has likewise downplayed the concern, reminding others of the ability to slash a validator's stake, among other things. So gas fees refers to the cost of carrying out transactions on the Ethereum blockchain. Gas fees are paid in Ether, denominated in the smallest unit of Ether called GUI or GUI. and have frequently spike during busy periods because of higher demand for transactions to be processed. Gas fees are considered a big pain point for Ethereum users. This is unsurprising since during the busiest periods on Ethereum, gas fees can reach hundreds of dollars, making the network unviable for many. The merge will shift Ethereum to proof of stake, but it will not expand network capacity. Therefore, it will not impact the price of gas fees. Vitalik predicts gas fees will drop in the future, though. He estimates that in the time after the merge, gas fees could be as low as 0.002 cent to 5 cent, owing to rollups, also called layer 2 technology that rollups a multitude of transactions off-chain, processes it, and then records a compressed version on the main Ethereum blockchain. And as the Ethereum Foundation says, the transition to proof of stake is a critical precursor to realizing this. Any other big misconceptions about the merge? Yes, there are many. For one, the merge won't speed up the time it takes for Ethereum to process transactions, though timing for new block creation and settlement or finality will change slightly post-merge. It won't be substantial enough for Ethereum users to notice, the Ethereum Foundation says. Another misunderstanding about the merge involves the time frame during which investors can cash out their staked Ether after the upgrade. Investors won't be able to withdraw their staked Ether immediately after the merge occurs and will have to wait until Shanghai upgrade, which is the next major upgrade following the merge. The Ethereum Foundation says this means that newly issued ETH, though accumulating on the Beacon chain, will remain locked and illiquid for at least 6 to 12 months following the merge. To Ethereum core developer Tim Biko, the biggest misconception about the merge is that you need 32 Ether to run a node, he told Fortune. You don't. Running a node is free, he said. 32 Ether is only needed to run a validator. As mentioned earlier, validators also can't change protocol rules, Biko said. All the nodes validate protocol rules. Hence, validators can't single-handedly change them. So, okay, what technically happens to pull this off? A lot. So to prepare for the merge and any Ethereum upgrade for that matter, developers rely on Ethereum test networks to practice running code before they deploy it on the mainnet. Testnets are similar enough to the Ethereum mainnet that developers can run tests and check for bugs or security holes to prevent shortcomings from impacting the main blockchain. Prior to the upcoming merge, testnets Killin, Ropsten, Sopolia, and most recently Gorilli all underwent the transition to proof of stake as dress rehearsals for the real event. Okay, we got a little bit left in this one. Additionally, Ethereum developers introduced a handful of changes to the blockchain known as hard forks to pave the way for the merge, including the so-called London hard fork in 2021. London had a few purposes. It aimed to stabilize transaction fees by permanently destroying or burning a portion of such fees, removing that Ether from circulation. The London hard fork also delayed the so-called difficulty bomb, a mechanism intended to incentivize the network to move away from proof of work by exponentially increasing the difficulty level of puzzles required for mining, making continued mining unviable. Following London, other forks like Arrow Glacier and Grey Glacier pushed the difficulty bomb off further and changed its parameters. There was also Alter, which upgraded the Beacon chain. Developers have conducted as well 10 mainnet shadow forks where they ran through the merge using a small number of nodes. This proved helpful since the shadow fork process is minimal enough to not disrupt the mainnet, but useful enough to assess any potential issues prior to the big mainnet merge. As developers continue to prepare for the merge, they're planning still more shadow forks. The process of the mainnet merge activation itself is intricate and involves 3 big steps, as Christine Kim, research associate at Galaxy Digital, explains. To start it all, an upgrade called Bellatrix, named after a star and not the villain from Harry Potter, will happen first and set things into motion. It will prepare the Beacon chain for the merge. Next, the network will need to reach a final terminal total difficulty value, which represents the potential difficulty level for mining. Once the Bellatrix upgrade is complete, nodes will watch for it, and once reached, it will prompt the final step called the Paris upgrade. Paris will remove dependence on proof of work mining and mining difficulty, among other things, readying the network for the Beacon chain and proof of stake. Given the complexity of all this, the process will definitely not happen overnight. Ethereum developers predict that there will be a 14-day period between Bellatrix and the mainnet merge. So how could things go wrong? Many things could go wrong, and it's difficult to predict, despite years of tests and preparation. Ultimately, the merge is far from a slam dunk, and various issues may arise, like hiccups with clients or software verifying transactions and application breakdown, among others, that are so complex they can be difficult to plan for. Bad actors might also try to sabotage the process as well. But Ethereum developers and engineers are working to be ready for any potential problems and contend that they're prepared. So do I need to do anything with my Ether? No. Be very wary of anyone telling you otherwise. As the Ethereum Foundation says, as a user or holder of ETH or any other digital asset on Ethereum, as well as non-node operating stakers, you do not need to do anything with your funds or wallet before the merge. Any funds held in your wallet before the merge will still be accessible after the merge. No action is required to upgrading on your part. So as we approach the merge of Ethereum's mainnet, you should be on high alert for scams trying to take advantage of users during this transition. Some people unhappy with the merge may try to branch off and create their own projects and variations of Ethereum, but anything of the sort will never be Ethereum. For example, a cohort of miners are planning an Ethereum hard fork post-merge to create what they call ETH POW, in an attempt to continue a proof of work chain and retain their income. But even though this project sounds like ETH and somewhat includes Ethereum in its name, it's not correlated with Ethereum and will have its own token and application if it succeeds. So when merge, Ethereum developers are targeting the week of September 15th for the merge, with the TTD set to a ridiculous number like 500. I don't even know, that was a ridiculous number. Nonetheless, many factors may change that time frame. The Ethereum developers made clear that the timing is an estimate and nothing finalized yet. Also, if it's something y'all want to know about, drop it in the comment section. If it's something y'all want to talk about on this stream, make sure you drop it in the comment section before we get up out of here, and we'll go into that as well. But it's safe to say that Ethereum is closer than ever before to proof of stake. As artist Jonathan Mann sings, after every successful merge test on each developer call, Ethereum won't be resisting the urge to merge. So that's the end of that article right there. Very interesting seeing what we have taking place with Ethereum right now. How do I expect this to affect the price? I think we're seeing some of that, happen right now with this pullback. We just seen Ethereum go from around 17, high 17s, 1800s down to right now we're under 1600, sitting at that 1590 level right now. So I think this is, people preparing, for any possible, mishaps, or, if anything goes wrong. Because if we take a look at Ethereum on the weekly, Ethereum is down 20%. Let's take a look at others. Bitcoin down 13%, BNB down 12.7%, XRP down 11%, and this is all for the week. Cardano down 23%, Solana down 24%, Polkadot down 22%. We got Shiba up 1.87%. So notice with SHIB, we broke back into that 13 level I was telling y'all about in the last SHIB videos. I told y'all this 13 level is critical. So but as we look, we can see Avalanche down 22.9%, Polygon down 22.3%, Uniswap down 24%, Ethereum Classic down 23%. So we're seeing, a lot of the our favors down, over 20% for the week. So it looks like people are preparing for this, or, we're seeing some type of contraction in the market with people taking profits off, maybe just following Bitcoin for whatever reason. But I definitely think this Ethereum merge is taking place. Some people just possibly, getting funds set to the side, just trying to prepare for, preparing for the worst just in case. But salute. How high do I think Ethereum will go? I'm easily looking at a $10,000 Ethereum in the future. In the next year or two, I believe ETH will be over 10K. So we almost seen it already hit 5,000, 4,800 per ETH. That was already halfway there, and I think we still had a lot of room that we could have seen the market go up. So think about it. The overall crypto market was only around $3 trillion at that point. So can we see the overall crypto market reaching $6 trillion? I can. I think so, and I believe a lot of that money will flow into Ethereum. So I expect Ethereum's price to be a lot higher. But shout out to everybody for pulling up, even those that came in late. Make sure y'all hit that like on there. You can buy Vote Enu on the website vote.in. Go to my Twitter page at December DeMarco. Check out one of the links in there. You'll be able to find Vote Enu, their Twitter page, and then you'll be able to click on all the official links. Make sure you're careful not to fall for any scams. When do I expect it to blow? We have a lot of information that we gotta, or not information, but we got a few catalysts that we have to process first before, you know, I can actually give a what I feel is an accurate timeline, because with this Ethereum merger, that's what we call uncertainty. You know, the second letter in the word FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, is you know, a very big factor that can play a part in the price. So when people are uncertain, the market usually doesn't like that, and we see prices pull back when there's uncertainty in the market. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. But I think after everything takes place, everything plays out, you know, goes smoothly, I think a lot of that money will rush back into Ethereum, especially people know that you know, it's going to be more environmentally friendly, using less electricity. I'm dropping a Twitter right now, December DeMarco. At December DeMarco. I just dropped a Twitter down there for y'all. Make sure y'all follow me on Twitter. But overall, I'm very, very bullish. You know, right now, this is nothing more to me, you know, a time to be able to, you know, think about it. How bullish are you? Do you really believe in crypto? Do you really believe in Shiba Inu? Do you believe in Ethereum? If so, then, you know, you should be taking advantage of these prices. This is, you know, we won't see these prices for a while after, you know, probably never again after we break out of, you know, these new levels. So 13 level, you know, we just had an opportunity to get it around the high 12s earlier today, but with this 3% off we're seeing now, with the 9% we seen yesterday, that puts us at about 12% discount in the last day or two. So we're really, you know, down about 12 to even maybe 15%, you know, and even further from where the price broke out to that 17, 18 level. So this is all buying opportunity. Eventually the price will return to those levels. What you put in now, not financial advice, because what you put in now can also drop 60 to 80%. But what you put in now has the, you know, opportunity to go up around 97%. I'm expecting, you know, SHIB to double with once we get, you know, some certainty back in the market. Once we get some announcements on these catalysts, like a Shibarium release date or Shiba Eternity game being actually released with some you know, to everyone with some positive reviews, I think we're gonna see Shiba Inu's price double. Also, Ethereum 10,000, easily see $100,000 Bitcoin within the next few years. BNB, I expect BNB to easily be 1,000 to 5,000 one day. $5,000 in BNB would have to put it around 500. This is a rough estimate, so 80 billion. So that might mean around 800 billion market cap for BNB to see it around 5,000. So that would put it, you know, larger than where twice as high as where Bitcoin is right now. But you got to think about it. Bitcoin at one point in time was, you know, over 3 times where it's at right now. So Bitcoin was over that price at one point as well. So I definitely think Bitcoin will go a lot higher. I definitely think Ethereum will. All our main assets, not worried about that. Just an opportunity to be able to load up. But that's all we got for this video, man. Crow as well. Let's take a look at Crow. Crow at number 25, sitting at 3.7 billion in market cap. I could easily see, you know, 10x from here. Actually, it's 3 billion in market cap. Easily 30 billion. That could put it at around even 300 billion. Not that 300 billion, you know, financial advice. You know, I'm just saying, you know, I could see it eventually one day, but 30 billion, that will put it at right around number 6, just under BNB. I could potentially see that happening the way they're moving, you know, the developments that they're making, you know, definitely once more people catch on to it, I definitely think we could see that happen. Right now, down 20% for the week, sitting at 12 cents. Down from a high of $1 in November 2021. Let's see. It definitely wants to go back to around 40 cent. I can tell you that. Around 33, 34 cent. It wants to go back in that range for sure. But that's all we got for this video, man. Shout out to y'all for pulling up on the stream. I'll probably end up streaming again later on tonight. It's about 8 o'clock, just about. I'm about to go grab something to eat. I don't know. Depending on who rocking with me, I might even bring y'all with me. I don't know. Nah, I'm gonna catch y'all on the next stream, man. I'm December DeMarco. Salute to everybody for pulling up. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, like button for the YouTube algorithm. Do not forget to subscribe. Share this stream as well, man. Let me know if you share the stream. Are y'all one of the ones that share the streams when I go live? Let me know if you be sharing the streams. Salute to all my millionaires and future millionaires out there. Shout out to y'all. We about to get it. We are prepared for, what's about to happen. Queen of Red, see what you know about that big jerk. Shout out to EQ and X, said take it easy, take it sleazy. Salute, salute. Shout out to Honey Glazed Ham, said I share, appreciate that. We covered a lot of information on this stream. Shout out to Bunny, said thank you, we'll be sharing. We talked about the Chinese economy, the Chinese housing market. We talked about the Ethereum merge, talked a little bit about Shiba Inu. This was a really good stream, man. Shout out to Ricky Johnson pulling up, better late than never. Make sure you run this back, catch the replay. If you are pulling in late, we talked about a lot of valuable information, and I'm talking about some information that you really need to know if you're in crypto. If you're in cryptocurrency and you don't understand what's happening with the Ethereum merge, then you're not doing your due diligence. You should know about this, and we just covered it in its entirety, on a base level, so that way you can understand. So salute. Shout out to Ricky, said didn't get a notification. Make sure those notifications are on, man. YouTube been trying to, I don't know if they blackballing me or what they doing, but a lot of people been telling me they haven't been getting their notifications. We ain't been seeing as many people pull up like usual. I'm not sure why YouTube is tripping on us right now, but sometimes they don't like this type of information to go out. So, that could be the case as well. But that's all we got for this stream. I'm gonna keep pushing as long as y'all keep rocking.